Welcome to a Tech Moment on Cannabis Tech. I'm your host, Christina Etter. In this podcast, we take just a few minutes to talk about some of the exciting science and technology that's happening in the cannabis and hemp industries. Today, I am welcoming Kyle Sherman, the CEO and founder of Flowhub, a software company based out of Denver who's focused on compliance and point-of-sale transactions within the cannabis industry. As a pioneer in this industry, Kyle not only founded one of the leading software companies, but he's also an active lobbyist in Washington pushing for the STATES Act. He's also been the associate producer of a documentary on Netflix called Weed the People. He's a speaker at many national conferences, and he was also named Business Insider 30 and Under. Thanks so much for taking your time today to be on our show, Kyle.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Fantastic. So I'm really excited to start this conversation with you. Flowhub got started back in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, but in the last several years, you have experienced some incredible growth. So let's talk a little bit about what that's like founding a company and then seeing the kind of growth that you've experienced over the last several years.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's been a wild ride, right? I got into the cannabis industry officially in 2014, working with Dixie Elixirs and Weed Maps. And that led me to an opportunity to become a compliance officer for a vertically integrated supply chain. And it was there I kind of figured out this big problem, right? How do we end the prohibition of cannabis at a national level, and eventually a global level, right? That's through transparency. That's kind of what I figured out, right? So my thought was if we could create great tools that not only help businesses run better businesses, right? So help them make more money and figure out how to be more compliant, but really to just help be more transparent in general, then we should be able to spread the word that prohibition just doesn't work, right? Drug dealers don't check IDs at their door, but regulated retailers do. And so that was the start of Flowhub. And you're absolutely right. It's been a wild roller coaster ride over the last few years. We've grown from, just a little garage company, essentially with just a handful of people, to nearly 80 people now in downtown Denver with a couple satellite offices around the country.
That is absolutely incredible. Just about a year ago, we did cover this story between Flowhub partnering up with HP. And so that was obviously a very interesting bringing in that brand name kind of perspective into the cannabis industry. And like you said, kind of working towards that mainstreaming transparency kind of thing. Then in March this year, you also partnered with BDS Analytics to start providing some of that key data analysis for the dispensaries. So do you want to talk about some of those partnerships and what they've done to kind of help Flowhub get to the point where it's at today?
Sure, totally. So, one of the things that we're consistently trying to do as a company is to help retailers find tools that are going to help them be better retailers, right? So one of those folks was obviously HP. They produce incredible retail hardware. They're actually one of the largest providers of point-of-sale hardware in the world. So if you go to a Taco Bell, right, they're using HP hardware. And so we started to really think about with HP, can we drop ship and essentially deliver to retailers a similar experience that like a Taco Bell franchisee would get, and out of the box, pull it out, of the box and have Flowhub running down the system already, plug in the receipt printers and have a seamless experience and know that that device is going to last, right? And so that's why we partnered with HP. And it's really been awesome to see our customers using really retail hardened hardware, meaning that this stuff can get pretty beat up in a retail environment by multiple people touching it every day and still survive, right? So, that's why we partner with HP. And then, folks like BDS Analytics, along with the rest of our app providers in the Flowhub network, the Flowhub ecosystem, right? These all provide various kind of expansion of features and functionality for retailers that we don't necessarily want to go build ourselves, right? So when you think about BDS, this is analytics around the market. And so we help, our retail customers get more insights around the market through our partnership with BDS, right? It could be folks like Dutchie who do order ahead and delivery, right? We don't necessarily want to go out and build those tools ourselves right now, right? So we partner with great folks like Dutchie or iHeartJane to actually build tools on top of Flowhub to expand the value, the business value for our retail customers. So really, these partnerships are all about expanding the business value for our retail customers and really staying focused on what we're good at. That's building a great platform that enables third parties like these folks we talked about to actually enter the space, leveraging our name and our systems. So that's kind of like, that's the idea behind all of these partnerships. And, we've consistently delivered great partnerships for our customers over the last couple of years. And if you actually go to our website, flowhub.com/partners, I believe it is, you could actually see a list of our partners there. And there's just a plethora of value added resources for our customers.
So that's kind of a great segue. You mentioned Dutchie, and I know that you are currently, with this latest press release that you just released, you're currently adding some more functionality, and you have some new apps that are being released into a new rendition of the software. Is that correct? Do you want to talk us a little bit about this new version launch?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got some incredible new tools for our retailers. We've got a new cashier app, which is an entirely rethought about experience for bud tenders. So this is an opportunity for bud tenders to better connect with the consumers that are shopping in the store. So we have the individual's name fresh on the screen, purchase histories, because everything's super accessible. So you have a really great conversation with the bud tenders can have with the consumers, right? We've got this new specials engine, which is super robust. It allows you to run all of these complex specials that were really hard to do in the past. And no one's doing this quite like Flowhub is today. And it really just allows these retailers to differentiate from their neighbors, right? By running really unique specials that, most typical retailers outside of cannabis are not running, right? You buy 2 of these things, you get something else 50% off with a free hat or something, right? You can do all of this with this really complex, but very easy to use specials engine that we've produced. We've got order ahead capabilities. So we're the first platform that actually allows you to run an order through a third party, like a Dutchie, again, for example, and then actually process that order through point of sale in a very purpose-driven way. So very unique. And these things are just, again, this is all about making our customers' lives easier, which ultimately give the consumers a better shopping experience. And we believe that's a great way to empower the consumers with all the knowledge they need to make a great purchasing decision. So it's really just about creating these great retail experiences. So we've got some incredible new tools. Stash app is a recent one as well, right? This is a mobile tool that literally allows you to walk around your back room and audit your inventory, report that data back to the state. Right, you're able to move product from your back rooms to your floor, and all of this is auditable, meaning that there's activity logs about who's doing what when. You can leverage all this data and sync it with your camera, so you can really start to get an idea about what's happening inside your dispensary. Right, so all these little things really add up to make a really seamless experience for our customers, right? And our ultimate mission, right, is to help legalize cannabis worldwide, right, starting in the United States, right, and really making this a transparent industry. So all these tools are going right into that goal. And we really believe that transparency is the name of the game.
So I can't agree more. I know how important transparency is. When I first started in this industry, I was actually a bud tender working in Denver. And so I've dealt with a lot of the different software applications for compliance and tracking. And that's one thing I think that maybe people don't understand about the cannabis industry, because we hear the federal government telling us all the time about this unregulated industry. But in all reality, because of state laws and because of state regulation, it really is one very highly regulated industry. And compliance is absolutely critical to make sure that we do have that transparency and kind of provide the industry some of that legitimacy. So having software applications like yours most certainly does bring an air of professionalism and legitimacy to the industry. Now, one thing that you did mention was talking about the knowledge base and helping kind of educate not only the people in the dispensary, but consumers as well. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit here and now talk just a little bit about your other endeavors in cannabis, because I'm really curious, what was it like to produce your documentary, Weed the People, on Netflix, and what was your overall goal with that documentary?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I came into the documentary, in fact, after it was shot. So I'm good friends with both the director, Abby, and Ricky Lake, the executive producer of the film. And they, approached me, and we talked a bit about, bringing it through the festival circuit and ultimately ending up on Netflix, right? And so, my goal with that documentary ultimately was to help share emotional stories that really tell the overall deeper meaning to our industry, right? That there's medicinal use with these products. The documentary follows 5 kids who are suffering from cancer and use cannabis along with their cancer treatments to help, just to help, right? And the reality is, I think so many folks don't realize the power of the plant. Now, it's not a miracle drug. It's not going to solve every problem, right? But there's some incredible applications for it that prohibition, unfortunately, doesn't allow the application or use for, right? So, I think it just goes along with this goal of ending the war on drugs, really helping drive success with ending the prohibition of cannabis specifically, is at least sharing these kids' stories and showing people that this is a real medicine and that there's real medicinal value to it. And so I don't know if you've seen it already, but it's a really powerful, emotional movie that's really important to the industry in a lot of ways, in my opinion, right? We need more people telling kids stories like this. We need more people telling patient stories and sharing the benefits of this amazing plant.
Right. And, I think the more that we do share stories like these, the more that we kind of force the government's hand and kind of force them to take a look at the possibilities that are here, and at least doing us the favor of opening up the window for research and kind of confirming some of these anecdotal stories that we hear so often. But now you are also involved in Washington as well, as far as lobbying for the States Act. So can you kind of give me your perspective on what the air is like in Washington? Do we have hope that there's going to be national legalization around the corner soon?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of theories here. I'm cautiously optimistic about the States Act eventually passing sometime in the next couple of years. So much of what happens in Washington, it's so political, right? I mean, the reality is a lot of these folks believe that any prohibition is a good thing, but maybe their constituents don't, and they have to support what their constituents believe. Right. So there's a lot of conflict there on the Hill still. But I think, through organizations like the Cannabis Trade Federation, right, who are actively out lobbying in DC, right? I'm the treasurer of the Cannabis Trade Federation, one of the founding board members, right? It's important that these companies are coming together and telling stories out on the Hill to share with these folks the realities, right? A lot of these folks have no idea on the Hill what's actually happened in legal markets. They might believe any prohibition is probably a wise thing, but they don't know what the legal industry actually looks like. So, we often invite folks out to Colorado. We give them tours of our office. They go tour, grow facilities and retail facilities, and they often leave going, oh my gosh, this is a professional industry. Like, I had no idea. This just looks like another industry here, Wow, I'm a huge supporter of this moving forward, right? So that's kind of the reaction we're getting. I think, I'm cautiously optimistic, like I said, about the States Act passing sometime soon. There's rumors that Trump may do something nearing the end of his term for re-election. Like, who really knows what's going to happen, right? But I think it's just important for all of us in the space to get out there, to tell stories, to get in front of legislators and share the realities of the industry, right? I think, when I think about social change, right, I start to think about, how do things get changed in America today? How do things get changed in the United States, right? The reality is you can go picket outside all day with a sign, right? But, this is a capitalistic country. It's it's companies that are out, spending, lobbying, and that are making real social changes. And I think that says a lot, right? So companies in our industry need to get involved. Right? They need to go out. They need to get involved with, the Cannabis Trade Federation. They need to get involved with lobbying and telling stories, because all of this just makes our industry appear bigger in the eyes of the politicians on Capitol Hill. So does that make sense? My message would be, right, for any business owner in the space watching this, right, you need to donate some money to the Cannabis Trade Federation, because these are companies out lobbying on behalf of the industry, ending 280E, the Safe Banking Act, the States Act, right? This is what's ultimately going to make this industry a robust one.
Absolutely. And you are absolutely correct that we do need to tell those stories. We do need to speak out. We need to stop treating cannabis and the cannabis industry like it is that black sheep of the family or of the industries, because it's really not. It's coming around. People are starting to learn. There is legitimacy behind this industry. I, like you, in both dispensaries that I worked in when I was in Denver, we had tour groups come through of busloads of lawyers from other parts of the country that were coming through for their tours. So it is good to see that kind of education happening. It's good to see people kind of getting behind this and getting that firsthand experience of experiencing the cannabis industry, because it isn't what they often perceive in their minds of what the cannabis industry really is. Kyle, I have one last question for you, and that is just what is on the future for, or what is in the future for Flowhub?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, we're consistently pushing the envelope, right? We were the first to launch mobile apps in our industry. We're going to continue to innovate on the mobile side. We're really excited about state expansion. So when you look at Illinois coming online in 2020 as a recreational market, we're excited to go help innovate there, right? So there's some really exciting expansion opportunities for Flowhub, where we're going to continue to push the envelope politically and just create really easy to use tools. And we're going to make it really easy for customers to get a hold of us. There's one thing that I think is missing in the space for a lot of companies is great customer service, right? And for us, customers are the most important people to our company. So we won't be here without them, right? And so for us, it's the consistent energy we put into building great relationships with them. I think in the future for us, it's just building even better ways for that to take place. So I'm really excited about developing new tech, creating great relationships with our customers, the new ones and existing ones, right? And just continue to build, and seeing this through all the way through federal legalization and global expansion, right? So we've got a lot of work to do over the coming decade, but we're really excited to be a part of this, part of this industry and a part of making this a legal industry federally.
It truly is an amazing time to be a part of this industry, and I cannot thank you enough for taking a few minutes out of your day today to join us here on a Tech Moment and to talk about the industry and to talk about what's coming up for Flowhub. So thank you again, and thank you for all that you do for helping to push this industry forward and put some of that legitimacy into our industry.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kyle.